Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off our presentation today. The slide you see here is titled, The Bond of Love. Today, we'll explore the deep connections that love creates and how it shapes our lives. We'll look at its meaning, significance, and the ways it influences us all. Let's get started. Let's take a moment to look at the contents of our presentation. As you can see, we've organized the topics to give a comprehensive understanding of the story. We'll start with an introduction about the author, which helps us understand the background and perspective behind the story. Then, we'll explore the characters involved, giving insight into their roles and development. Moving on, the theme of the story is highlighted, revealing the core message or moral that the author aims to convey. We'll also analyze the content itself, breaking down the key elements and ideas. The message section will focus on the main takeaway for the audience. An overview of the story, or the central idea, ties everything together, helping us see the bigger picture. Then, we'll look into a character sketch, providing a deeper understanding of individual personalities. Next, we'll examine asset questions, which encourage us to think critically about the story's components, followed by assignment questions that help reinforce learning. We'll also have a conclusion to summarize the main points. And lastly, the characters in the story will be revisited to understand their significance within the overall narrative. These points work together to give us a structured way to analyze and appreciate the story, connecting each component to the overall theme and purpose of our presentation. Let me tell you a little about Kenneth Douglas Stuart Anderson, the author behind these stories. He was born in India on March 8, 1910, and he lived until 1974. Anderson was a British writer and hunter, and his deep connection to the Indian jungles really shaped his work. He didn't just write about adventure, he experienced it firsthand. His love for the inhabitants of the jungles, the animals and the people, drove him to explore the wilderness, often through big game hunting. But what's really fascinating is that he also chose to go into the jungle alone and unarmed, just to meditate and truly appreciate the untouched beauty of nature. This personal approach gave his stories an authentic, real-life feel that connects directly to our overall theme of adventure and respect for the wilderness. Today, I want to talk about the theme of our story. The main idea is that even wild animals like sloth bears are capable of feeling emotions, affection, and forming deep bonds. It's often thought that only humans experience love and connection, but our story shows that this isn't the case. What's really important here is that love is reciprocal. When we show care and kindness to animals, they often respond in kind. They don't just react randomly. Their responses are sincere and genuine. This helps us understand that animals, even those seen as wild or untouchable, can truly appreciate the affection we give them. So, as we explore this story, keep in mind that it highlights a universal truth, that love and connection are powerful across all species. It's a reminder that our bonds with animals are meaningful, and that their responses can be just as heartfelt as ours. So, on this slide, I want to emphasize the core message behind our story. It's about recognizing the importance of showing kindness to animals. Remember, animals are also creatures created by the same God who made us. They deserve our respect, compassion, and a life that is both dignified and free. This is a fundamental point because it reminds us that kindness isn't just for other humans. It extends to all living beings. When we talk about strong bonds, we're referring to shared visions, the connections we build through understanding and communication. And it's through these shared visions that we foster trust and love, especially with those who care about us the most. So, by showing kindness to animals, we're not only respecting their rights, but also reinforcing these important bonds that unite us all. That's the overarching message I want us to take from this. On this slide, I want to give you an overview of the central idea behind the bond of love. The story highlights the deep and mutual love that can exist between animals and humans. It's not just about humans loving animals, but also about animals understanding and reciprocating that love. The author emphasizes this point by sharing the relationship between the bear, Bruno, and his wife. This relationship really proves that animals can comprehend and feel love just as we do. Bruno isn't just a wild animal. He's a beloved member of the family who cares for and is loved back by the author's wife. This connection underscores one of the key themes of the story, that love transcends species and that animals are capable of understanding our feelings. It ties directly into the overall message that love is universal, and even animals can recognize and respond to the language of love. Now let's take a closer look at the characters in our story. First, we have Bruno, who is our beloved pet. Bruno plays a central role, not just as a companion, but as someone who influences the entire narrative. Then, there's the author and his wife, who are key characters. They bring their perspectives, emotions, and personal experiences into this story. The vet also appears, offering professional insights and helping to shape the events. We can't forget the curator, a figure who adds another layer of depth, perhaps through expertise or guidance. Lastly, the author's friends are part of the story. They provide support, advice, and sometimes a different viewpoint. All these characters are interconnected, and understanding their roles helps us see how the story unfolds and what themes emerge. Whether it's the bond between humans and animals, the importance of community, or the personal journey of the author, each character contributes to the overall message. Recognizing their roles reminds us that stories are often driven by the relationships between these characters and the moments they share. On slide 8, we delve into the core of the story, which is the emotional bond that develops between the author's wife and her pet bear, Bruno. The story begins with the author rescuing Bruno after an accident and gifting him to his wife. From that moment, a strong bond forms, almost like Bruno becomes part of the family, like their child. We see how the family cares for him, nurturing his growth and helping him thrive. As Bruno gets older, he bonds with everyone around him, from the children to the pet dogs, and he even has his own bed. He spends his days playing with the little ones, showing how integrated he is into family life. The story also recounts various moments with Bruno, including some accidents, highlighting the playful and sometimes mischievous nature of their relationship. Bruno becomes very attached to the wife, and their bond deepens with affection and love. However, there comes a point when relocating Bruno to a zoo is necessary. But interestingly, he doesn't stay there long and is brought back home. This part of the story emphasizes the deep emotional connections and the importance of love and care in building these unique bonds. To sum up the bond of love story, what we learn is that a true bond of love is not restricted or limited in any way. It can be found in the most unexpected places, and nothing can really stop it from flourishing. As human beings, with our higher intelligence and evolution, we carry a special responsibility towards animals and birds, whether they are our pets or wild creatures. It's important to remember that animals also experience feelings just like us: love, joy, pain, and even the pain of separation. This story reminds us that love is universal and that respecting and caring for animals is part of our moral duty. It ties back to the overall message that genuine love knows no boundaries and that we should nurture these bonds wherever we find them. Let's take a closer look at Bruno, the pet sloth bear, and understand what he represents. Bruno is affectionate, emotional, sensitive, and playful. Through his character, the author beautifully shows that animals are not just creatures of instinct. They are sensitive beings capable of experiencing emotions similar to ours. When Bruno was brought into the family as a cub and introduced to the lady of the house, he quickly became more than just a pet. He became a part of the family, forming a deep bond of love, especially with the author's wife. Bruno didn't stop there. He easily made friends with the Alsatian dogs and the children living nearby, highlighting his friendly and sociable nature. His love for the family was selfless, and we see this clearly when he was sent to the zoo and had to endure the pain of separation. Despite this, his playful and lively spirit shone through. He loved entertaining everyone with his tricks, and sometimes he'd show a mischievous or curious side, which added to his charm. Overall, Bruno's character reminds us that animals possess complex emotions and bonds, reinforcing the theme that animals and humans share a deeper connection than we often realize. Now let's talk about the author's wife, who, interestingly, is not given a name in the story. She plays a crucial role as the caretaker of Bruno, the sloth bear. She names him Bruno and affectionately calls him Baba, showing her deep bond with him. She embodies love, care, concern, consideration, and kindness in everything she does. She is completely selfless and highly affectionate, caring for Bruno as if he were her own child. Her gentle and kind nature is evident not only in how she raises Bruno, but also in her interactions with her other pets, 2 pet Alsatians, highlighting her overall love for animals. When Bruno grows too big and becomes unmanageable, she agrees to have him sent to a zoo. But she is deeply sad about this separation. She even carries food for him when she visits him at the zoo, just like a mother would. Watching Bruno's sorrow at being apart from her moves her so much that she convinces the curator and superintendent to send him back home. Her joy upon bringing Bruno back is palpable. She makes him sit in her lap, despite his size, showing her continued affection. She is sentimental, even preserving the stump and bamboo stick Bruno used to play with and returning them to him when he comes back, symbolizing her love and emotional connection. Overall, her story highlights the profound bond between humans and animals, emphasizing love, care, and the lengths we go to protect those we cherish. Let's go through some asset questions to reinforce our understanding of vocabulary and context. First, when we say to struggle to move, the best answer is flounder. It captures that sense of difficulty and lack of control. Moving on, the synonym of the word fret is anxious. When someone frets, they feel anxious or worried. Next, we have the word wantonly, which means doing something for no good reason. In the context of the sentence about the author not wanting to shoot the bear wantonly, it emphasizes that the action was not done carelessly or without justification. Finally, for this slide, the word we're looking for is curator, the person in charge of the zoo. This question helps us connect vocabulary to real-world roles and concepts. Overall, these questions highlight the importance of understanding nuanced meanings and proper word choices, which are essential for effective communication and comprehension. Let's look at the assignment questions on this final slide. First, how did the author capture the bear cub? Well, the author observed the cub closely, gaining its trust through patience and gentle handling, which allowed him to approach and eventually capture the little bear without causing distress. Next, about Bruno's eating and drinking habits, there were 2 notable instances where he consumed things he shouldn't have. On these occasions, Bruno either became sick or got into minor trouble because he ingested something harmful or unfamiliar, highlighting the importance of careful supervision when caring for wild animals. Moving on to whether Bruno was a loving and playful pet, absolutely, he showed affection and playfulness. Yet, despite his lovable nature, he had to be sent away because wild animals like Bruno require special care and environments that humans cannot provide at home. His behavior and needs made it necessary to find a more suitable place for him. The author concludes with a powerful question about Bruno's capacity for affection and individual characteristics. Bruno clearly demonstrated these qualities, and the question challenges us to reconsider our assumptions about wild animals, showing that they can indeed possess emotional depth and unique personalities. Finally, the author's wife requested the curator to allow Bruno to stay in the sanctuary. Initially, the curator was hesitant, but ultimately, the problem was resolved by transferring Bruno to a proper sanctuary where he could thrive in a more suitable environment. This decision underscores the importance of understanding and respecting the needs of wild animals while ensuring their well-being.